Kida, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hub. In this episode, we're with Jigjot Puller and Prithpal Puller of the Young Kings Foundation. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about what their organization does and how it started.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having us. My name is Jigjot Puller. 24 years old in my last semester of law school. It's my brother.
What's up, guys? This is Prithpal Puller. I'm Joe's younger brother. Thank you for having us, by the way.
Of course.
So I'm 19 right now. I'm a second year at DeAnza College. I'm going to transfer to Santa Clara University in the fall, so looking forward to that. I'm a communications major. And welcome to the Young Kings Foundation.
Thank you. So you guys want to give me a little background of what you guys do?
Sure. So Young Kings Foundation, I think for us as Punjabi men, I think we kind of looked at the landscape and we knew what the reputation of Punjabi men is. As you know, is drinking and partying and doing all these things that we shouldn't be doing. I think Young Kings started off first as a response to that. How do we push back on that and become part of narratives that are productive and engaging in the community? So Young Kings Foundation basically started off as a platform to engage in projects, whether it be community service, outreach, the basketball tournament that we did, and we'll kind of talk about some of the other projects that are going on. But I think us as brothers and our small group of friends, we wanted to just have a reason to come together other than doing those other things, and kind of shifting the narrative in that way.
Yeah, to just tangent off that as well, is just to bring our community closer together. I mean, our parents always taught us how to, bring us together, bring our family together. So we wanted to create a platform where we could bring our Bay Area community closer together, our Punjabi community closer together. And so we just started off in September, and we're hoping to build on that.
Was it like a certain instance, like you said, like there was like all these negative stereotypes, I guess? Was there a certain instance where you guys were like, damn, we really need to change this?
It's just seeing how the media and how our community really responded to things, how our community only came together when there was a Bhangra competition or a Sidhu Musiala concert.
Okay.
When there's things happening in our community that needed people to speak up on, there was nobody around, so...
And I think the other thing is, we talked about earlier before the podcast started, like music and movies and sports that influence us, right?
Yeah.
So you listen to hip-hop, you watch sports, you think about Colin Kaepernick, LeBron James. Those are much bigger figures than us. Mm-hmm. But the concept of using your platform to engage in larger societal discussions, like Kaepernick standing for police brutality, LeBron building a school for inner-city kids. And us as Punjabis, we don't have a lot of access. We don't have that platform, but we do have a certain influence. Like you came from Irvine, and yet we still knew 5 or 6 of the same people. Yeah, because our community is small enough where we can make that impact. So I think Young Kings Foundation is off that same concept of we're young, young right now. We don't have a lot of power or money or privilege, but we do have a network, and we can kind of engage
within our community, right?
Within our community, exactly. So I think that's what the response was seeing people like those figures make those decisions in their own communities and seeing how can we translate that to our own.
Got it. So, what steps, or projects, I would say, because you guys are relatively new. I was talking to you guys are started in September. Yeah. So, what is, something you guys have lined up for that type of, to sort of create that?
Yeah. So, for the very first project was the basketball tournament. So, I'll let Prithpal talk about that because he was kind of the visionary on that and what we have going on with that this year.
It was pretty cool. I mean, I wanted to run the basketball tournament. I wanted to bring our community close together because, for me, I was always around sports my whole life, and it was pretty cool that I was able to create this platform for where people can come together and enjoy for 2-3 hours just playing basketball. And I realized that these platforms such as sports and music and all these types of platforms can bring our community together in a positive aspect. Yeah. So that's what my strength was, is bringing people close together through sports. So that started, like I said, we're fairly new in September. So just building off that and going from platforms such as sports to music, media, any platform where we can bring our community close together. We have a lot of cool projects coming up, so I'll let Joe go into that as well.
Well, so one thing he talked about is not only bringing together, but using that as a way to generate money and revenue for causes that we care about. So in a basketball tournament, right, you pay registration fees. All the teams kind of commit capital to come to your tournament. And what we did is, we have a lot of friends who work in tech. So companies like Apple, they triple match whatever you donate. And so cool. We knew for example, Jakarta Movement is a recognized nonprofit by Apple. So if we donate $5, they'll donate $15, and now we have $20. And so that's part of what we do through the tournament too, right? If we raise $5,000, then we donate it through Apple. you got 15,000 now.
Oh,
And so
okay.
I think the goal this year, now that we kind of worked out the kinks, and I see like Nav and Arman and Anmol and the other Anmol, those are the other members of Young Kings who are the reason like the tournament even happened. So they're listening, they can confirm this. But happening in September, August will be the second iteration of the tournament. Probably same number of teams, but the difference will be like the way we generate sponsors. And so we built a good connection with like Ash Kalra in the Assemblyman's office.
Oh, okay.
We talked to the 49ers and the Pac-12 and Overtime, which is like a high school basketball brand, to see if they can kind of sponsor this event.
Okay.
And that way we're generating money for other causes. And I think a cause that was important to us, we wanted to use the basketball tournament as a way to create a scholarship for females going into STEM in our community. Because we always talk about men going into computer science and stuff, but we wanted to encourage the women in our community as well to have access to that. And so I think that'll be the end goal from this tournament, is to use all those funds that come with it after the matching, after all the sponsorships, and hopefully that becomes a yearly scholarship.
Okay.
And a lot of us will be graduating in the next year or so, starting to make some money, and that's the way we want to leverage that.
I mean, the first year running the basketball tournament, it wasn't perfect, and when you run events, it's not going to be perfect, but it's something to build on. So that was really my idea, was to see what happens and try to just go with it and see what I can do on the second year and look at the pros and cons of that. And so the first year we did a charity basketball tournament. It was for Malala Fund. Unfortunately, our dear cousin, she passed away from brain cancer. So we wanted to raise awareness for powerful women. She's a very powerful woman. So Malala Fund, as you guys probably know, Malala was a very powerful woman. She spoke about things that she felt was wrong in her community. She made her own blog and she was criticized for that. She was violently attacked. So she's somebody I looked at as a role model, and we wanted to raise a lot of money towards a great cause. So a lot of people came together, great sponsors. I'll name some of the sponsors here. Bandal Chakeng, Ranbir Sangera. There was so many sponsors that helped us out. Baljit Gill, all these like real estate companies, trucking companies, and Punjabi owners really reached out and helped us fundraise a lot of money for a great cause. So that was a great first year, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, I mean, like, for being like a first year, like, you guys, like, the competition, like, I don't know how it got on my radar. I saw it somehow, right? So, like, are you guys trying to expand more towards, like, are you guys trying to stay in NorCal, or are you guys trying to, like, expand throughout? Like, you guys, it's a community thing, like you were saying. So you're trying to go out of NorCal. Like, obviously that's your start, right?
Yeah, so I think maybe for for this year, it seems like it's going to be in San Jose still, and hopefully like establish a foothold in that area. But I think some of the other projects we'd be excited about would be a larger scope. Like we talked about, before we started recording, like that creative summit idea. And so people like you who are bringing these stories to light, you interviewed Gurleen and Zora, who are kind of bringing Punjabi streetwear to the forefront. And I think a lot of times in Punjabi culture, right, we listen to folk music, we listen to history, and so we make that part of our culture. Yeah. We listen to Bindrakhi and Chamkila and all that. But now something else is happening, like people like you and Zora, Gurleen, and Supreme Sidhu and all the people you interviewed. There's becoming like a blend of both cultures now. Yeah. Like the way we navigate this world and our roots. And so I think that's what we're really excited about, is encouraging those creatives. So like if we did that summit, we want it to be on a global level. Maybe you put it in New York and you say, okay, we have a table full of $10 millionaire donors who want to fund projects related to Sikhi, related to Punjabi culture, whether it be streetwear or podcasts or movies. And so I think we always think it's much bigger than us. Yeah, like you said, that's why we're excited to do this, and we're always excited to work with anybody in the community. But I think it'll start off in being in San Jose, I think. Just because that's where we know.
Yeah, that's where you guys are from, you know?
So we gotta figure out how to make it work out here first.
Yeah, and like about the creative conference he was talking about, we were talking earlier and we were saying like how cool would it be if a bunch of just creatives just came together and had a place to like he was saying, get funding and like all that. So that's just a little background what we were talking about. Yeah. But,
and even for like kids younger than us to see people like you who are doing this, right? Or see filmmakers and artists and all these other, we didn't know those were options like 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
We knew engineers and we knew doctors. So I think just you having this voice, having this platform is already a first step. And then I think we're never competing with each other. That's the biggest thing in our
community. No, exactly.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing in our Punjabi communities. Everybody always wants to compete with each other and everybody wants to top somebody else, but we never really see everybody kind of work together to push somebody.
Yeah, and that's how it should, like, that's what we want, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
like our vision, when we were talking, like, that's what we want to do. other like, so we were talking about like you guys do basketball tournaments. It's for the youth. Like, so what would you say your target audience is?
I would say anywhere from ages to 15 to 30, maybe even 40. We had some like 40-year-old players at the tournament.
Yeah,
so it was pretty cool.
They're asking for icy hot.
Yeah. And we maybe even younger as well. I want to really work with the youth and start up camps here in San Jose. Like I said, in San Jose, there's not really that many platforms for kids, and I want to be able, because I didn't have that platform when I was a kid, and now as I'm older and I have this responsibility, I have this platform, I can reach out to these kids and I can give them an area for where they can express themselves, because at that age it's crucial to express yourself, express your ideas and opinions, because that's where it's built on. You're when you're 5 to 7 years old. So I mean, we did this thing for Jakarta called Jakarta Junior. So that was really cool. I personally loved that, so I want to do that for the Young Kings Foundation as well, as bring kids together and let them express their ideas. And at that age, it's the bullying was a big thing at that, especially at such a young age. So I want to be able to give that kids a platform for where they can talk about it. Because if they are holding on to that from when they're 5 years old, who knows what's going to happen when they're 18, 19.
And to be honest, like, I'm surprised, like, when you said, like, you guys don't have a platform, especially out here, like, for me, like, I'm from Palm Desert, dude. Like, that's, like, I was the only, like, Punjabi kid at school, you know? Except, like, there was one kid, Jagdeep, but, like, it was just us two, right? And like I'm up when I come up here, I see the Punjabis everywhere. To be honest, and like I'm surprised that you guys didn't have a platform.
See, on that point, so we both went to Santa Teresa High School, like 2-3 miles away off Cottle, and I think when I was there, it was like my cousin and 2 other Punjabis, pretty much. But and you have Punjabis in Evergreen by the Gurdwara and stuff, but not necessarily Sangat that's tied together. Right, I think that's the biggest issue. Like, even though we live 5 miles from the Gurdwara, we don't really have a lot of people who we think is our Sangat there.
Got it.
And especially within the youth. So I think that's the other talked about, like, big projects that we'd be looking to do. I think longer term projects, one would be to create a youth center, create a space where we can call our own as Punjabis, as Sikhs, whether it be just like go get tutoring or do sports or have like instruments or have easels or you can paint, whatever. So that way, when you feel like you're one of 5 Punjabi kids on your campus, but you still feel tied to a bigger Sangat in San Jose.
And like, to build off that point, like, I had the same exact like vision, sort of like I was telling you about it earlier. I was like, these guys already do basketball. I was thinking about doing a basketball tournament, cool. Like, and that was the reasoning behind it. I was like, imagine if there was a center in like the middle of LA, like downtown or something, just a big, like, there's so many warehouses, just to buy out a warehouse, you know, like, and that's sort of what I wanted the basketball tournament to be, like a fun to buy a building where you can establish like a Punjabi
and like, the community has money,
exactly,
right? We fund a lot of just random stuff, right? But if we could,
so many Gurdwara, I'm just saying, like, we fund so many Gurdwara,
exactly, and we need Gurdwara, we need beautiful Gurdwara, but we have to figure out how do we allocate our resources to help our own community and help those who are most marginalized outside the community.
And sometimes our youth is disconnected. Like, it's not their fault either. It's just they don't have the resources or like the or like sometimes just like, dude, I don't want to. And
it's different when your parents tell you should go to the Gurdwara, you should learn Punjabi, you should do this service. It's completely different when your friends are doing it. Then you think it's cool to do
exactly.
So that's part of like Young Kings too. Like, the reason we brand it that way is like, oh, this is something cool to be part of.
Oh, so like that's the name, I guess. Like, how would you come? What was the concept behind the name?
Well, I think
Joel really started off when we were kids. Ever since we were kids, we used to call each other Young Kings, because it doesn't really matter what age you are. You don't have to be at any certain age to make a difference. And that was a big thing for me, is all my friends like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be an engineer. And I was like, I want to make a difference. And they're like, what does that mean? I was like, I want to make a difference. So everybody said, oh, you're too young to make a difference. I said, there's no age to make a difference. I look at all these people who have made differences, 16, 17-year-olds, 7-year-olds walking elderly across the street. That's making a difference to me. So it doesn't matter what age you are, you can always be a difference maker.
And I think on that, because I remember we used to say Young Kings all the time, and now you see like LeBron using it and all these people. And so now it's
pretty cool.
Now it's a thing. It's not from us, obviously, but it's like it's become part of like popular culture, popular vernacular. But I think the reason we started using it, the reason we started identifying with it, is because this concept of sovereignty, right? Like we even talk about in our culture. Nobody has to give that to you. You're already born that way. You're born into royalty, and it elevates and it demands more of you when you call yourself that, and you kind of step into that power a little bit. And so we talked about earlier, like men in our community don't show up for things, don't do much. So to brand ourselves that way was a response to that. Like, hey, this is the lineage that you come from. This is how you're supposed to, build yourself up. And so I think that's kind of what we just gravitated towards it a little bit.
Got it.
And now it's just that's what it is.
And the name rings. Like I heard Young Kings Foundation. I was like, oh shit, like it was legit. But like sort of going off his point, he was saying how he like it was like. It's more than doctor, lawyer. Like he was saying, like, oh, this kid wanted to be an astronaut. This kid wanted to do, and he said he wanted to make a difference. And it was just funny. It reminded me, like, this weekend, before I came out here, my mom was asking who I was meeting up with and all that. And I was like, a video director, a shirt designer. And I was like, how old are these kids? And I was like, oh, like, either, like, a year or two younger than me, same age, or older than me.
That's the craziest thing.
And my mom was like, huh? Like, is that for real? Like, the kids this young are doing shit like this? Like, she was so impressed, and I just wanted to, like, say, like, dude, like, it's pretty crazy that, like, just in our own community, we don't know about it, because, like, the attention's not there.
Yeah, because we're always tied down. You have to be a doctor,
exactly.
you have to be a lawyer,
and, like, sort of, this was, like, the reason for me to coming out in NorCal, too, like, sort of explain, like, yo, people are doing these things in our community, even for the youth, like, and if I knew people were doing this type of stuff, I'd be like, dude, I can strive for that, like, as a kid. Like I wouldn't be afraid to pursue my passion type thing.
And just imagine, like, in 5 years, the vision. Like, if everybody stays in their lane, keeps getting better at their craft, whatever they're doing, in 5 years we all have position to have more money, more access, more resources. Then we can do all these projects that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to ask anybody for help for it. So that's the most exciting thing to me.
Yeah. So you guys talked about your current projects and stuff. So, like, what is there to expect from the Young Kings?
You want to start off?
You can start that.
STEM program.
Oh, I mean, so we kind of mentioned the scholarship goal of it. Like, that first iteration would be like a scholarship for women going into STEM. But I think the way we see the evolution every year is supposed to get bigger. Like, the first year it was just a basketball tournament, right? So the second year will be a scholarship, a basketball tournament, and the third year it evolves to expanding more and more. And I think eventually, like you mentioned, you have the Hub podcast. We want Young Kings to be at the intersection of all these spaces, whether it be sports, media, creativity, science. So you want Young Kings to be a platform that uplifts all those people. And so, we're all like 19 to 24 years old. And so I think the biggest thing for us is making sure that we go and build the relationships first. Because right now we're asking for help. And in 5 years, hopefully we'll be able to give that help. Right? So I think that's what's to expect in this next year. He's going to be transferring schools. I'll be graduating. So I think our schedule gets way more freed up on one hand. And this is when we can start knocking on our parents' doors and, okay, we need help with this. And I think one big project that we've always had in the background is telling stories like you're doing, but telling stories of our elders. And so
that's cool.
We started off with that. We as like we were talking about before, my dad is the youngest of 9 siblings. So kind of recording their stories from, some of them grew up during the whole partition stuff, so they had to,
that's pretty cool.
That's crazy. So, like, my grandparents had to grow through the whole partition stuff of how they had to go from Lahore, because my dad, they grew up in Lahore. So, she's not alive right now, but if I had the chance, I would go to her and ask her all those questions.
Sort of like preserving that, documenting that.
None of our youth really go up to their elders and ask them those stories and the struggles that they went through, because we have it good here in the Bay Area, right? We're living luxurious, and they didn't have those same luxuries as we do. So kind of talking about their experiences. How we want to do that is create a book from 1 to 9, each one of their stories and how they came to America.
That's really cool.
That's
really cool.
I'm
looking forward to that.
Like you mentioned, your dad has 6 siblings. Our dad has 9, and the mom came from England. They have like roots in Pakistan, Lahore, everywhere. So I think what we'll need is like creatives in other areas to tell the stories, right? Like, we can interview them and write it, transcribe it, but we might want like someone like Supreme Sidhu or just Deep, who's a filmmaker, to tell those stories visually.
That's what we're talking about, that like sort of that having all these creatives in one space, and like being able to like use one person's ideas, but like sort of showcase it in a different media or like a venue, like a way of like
it's all about expanding for us. We don't want to be just a basketball tournament or just a blanket drive. We want to continue to expand in different platforms, media, arts, and everything. And go from there. But it's all about just trying it out, because everybody has an idea, but they don't want to go through with it. Like yourself, you said you've been wanting to do this for a year.
Exactly.
And everybody has the idea, but the fact that you're executing it is a whole different story, right? So you're doing an amazing job. So
thank you.
So many people look up to you and say, "Oh, this person executed." It doesn't matter if it's good or not. The fact that you actually executed it is
Thank
admirable.
you. And same to you guys. Like, you guys are like, dude, we want to make this change. We want to change. Like, I mean, personally too, I'm like, yo, we're always painted as like drinkers or like this, like so many stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are like, yo, that's what we want to change. Like, even you guys just took the first step and we're like, let's do it.
Exactly, yeah.
So you just brought up the blanket drive. I forgot to bring that up. You want to talk about the blanket drive a little bit, what you guys did? Because I saw you guys post about it. And
so our first year we did it here in San Jose. So there's a park called St. James Park, and that's where a lot of homeless people stay, and there's areas where they can find shelter. So St. James Park, there's a lot of population of homeless people there. So during Christmas time, we were able to fundraise a lot of blankets and hand them out around that area. But then we went to Punjab during December. That was really cool.
I saw that.
We did the same thing. We fundraised for blankets and we distributed to everybody in the band, and especially those people that like the Garib Jadege. They were able to get blankets and shelter.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty cool.
Actually communicate with them and talk to them in person and talk about this is where we came from and this is what our plan is, and talking to the kids there. Yeah. It touches your heart that you're able to help other people.
Yeah.
And honestly, that like sort of like you said, you guys first started right here in San Jose at the park. Like that's sort of you guys like you guys aren't just catering to like one culture. You guys are sort of bridging that gap, right? Like we are. You guys probably like explain like, hey, like this is what we do. Like so it's sort of like you guys aren't limiting you guys selves too.
And I think it's sometimes it's hard because you don't know how much of impact you're having. Right? You might do that stuff, but then they still don't have access to housing. They still don't have access to food. So I think. Another initiative in our mind. So with Jakarta, we didn't start it, but like I helped start with Balwinder and Tharnamal and some of the Jakarta folks. Like they have a fellowship program. Like one fellow's working on mental health in the elderly. One's working on the environment in Punjab and like cleaning up waste. One's doing helping incarcerated women in Oakland. So like finding a way to generate and fund money for those type of projects, which might have more lasting change. I think that's the next vision, next iteration of Young Kings Foundation. Like the blanket drive is like our first start to see, okay, we have some resources. What can we do with this? But as it grows, hopefully more sustainable projects, more community-based action, projects that we think can leave a legacy and leave an actual imprint on the communities that we're trying to affect. Whether it be through starting scholarships, starting programs to help in the pinned and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think we have a lot of ideas right now. So we're interested to see.
Yeah, and a lot of it's like working with people that are already working, and like you said, you're working with like people in Jakarta to like sort of like again like it's that sort of connection thing, right? Yeah. Where like people are already in the like you don't have to start from ground zero. Like you guys can jump on and like or like. Even just be the main like supplier for like funds, right? You guys are hosting tournaments. You guys are all doing this. So sort of that like an idea or like what you guys are trying to do too, like just in case.
I think we have to get smarter with money in our community because I think we have a lot of good ideas, but then we don't know how to access. Like Gore are so good at accessing money.
Yeah, true.
You go to any UC campus in California, there's a Jewish Hillel Center.
Yeah.
There's a nice big fancy Hillel Center because their community donates back to those circles, right? Those schools, and I think. We have people who are wealthy and rich and doctors and lawyers, but they don't have necessarily an outlet of, okay, where do I send this money?
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's what we can change is we knock on those doors. Like you said, your parents are surprised kids our age are doing this. So we got to knock on everybody's door and let them know, okay, we're doing this and this is what we need. Yeah. And having maybe initial conference where you, like I know Jakarta, again, they do like a gala where they invite everybody and say, hey, okay, here's the projects we did this year. Here's how we're going to generate money. And we can have that independent of Jakarta, but like a sick creatives gala type thing. Like here's our highlight people and they need funding for this project, and we crowdsource it ourselves before we can go out and make it bigger. Because eventually we want it to be bigger, right? Like get money from everywhere. But I think that's one thing we have to work on as a community is just figuring out how to allocate resources properly.
Yeah, I think funding was the biggest thing for us was trying to find funding, trying to knock on people's doors because it's hard for I find it hard for myself to knock on doors and kind of ask for donations and funding because it's hard for a 19-year-old to knock on people's doors, but I think just...
It's not like the Girl Scout cookies,
Maybe we should sell some Girl Scout.
Yeah, I should have started that.
Young Kings,
Girl Scout cookies.
The besan on the buffet on the run. Golgappe. Yeah. Do you guys want to add anything else about Young Kings or another conversation or anything? Because I mean, I got a way clear picture of what Young Kings... Because honestly, I did not know what you guys' vision was, but like through this, like, oh, holy shit. You guys have a lot in store.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's a lot of it's open, right? Like if we meet someone like you and an idea comes up, we're ready to pursue that because there's like 6 of us. We're speaking, but Arman and Amol, 2 brothers from Union City, Anmol Tiara, Navman. It's like 6 of us are all intertwined with it, involved with it. And I think that's our biggest advantage is we have that like labor to go into different circles. I guess to add, we'd love to hear more about your projects and journeys and see if we can bounce off that a little bit.
I'm just so like I guess the starting of the podcast was just it was in the middle of like I'll just talk about the podcast first, I would say. So during a SSA meeting, I was like, yo, what if I just recorded this and posted it? Like, there were a lot of controversial discussions, I would say. We talked about homosexuality in the Punjabi community, drugs, alcohol, like all those type of things. I was like, what if we just put it at a bigger platform? And that was it. And then personally, I'm a very curious person. So like I saw like I've been following like the clothing brands for a while. And it's like, I wonder how these people got into it.
That all came up like last 3 years
exactly
ago. Right?
And that's exactly what got me into it. I was like, yo, I want to know how the hell these people are getting into it. And like it sort of exploded, and I mentioned that to them in the interview. So I was like, yo, you guys, like everybody just exploded. Like you just saw more people into it, and they're like, we've been involved in it this whole time. We're just seeing like a resurgence. And a lot of it was like them saying Instagram. To be honest, they're like, Instagram is our main platform. People follow us, we follow people, or people just sharing.
Yeah, I mean, you probably talked to Vulcanico, or like she has people ordering her clothes from the East Coast and stuff now. And I know she like at Britball met her at Dianza.
Yeah, we went to school together. That's why I first found out about Vulcanico.
Yeah,
so pretty cool.
And if you go back to Vulcanico's first picture, he's like posing in that Vulcani shirt that you have, and to see how much it grew like within 12 months.
Yeah,
and I think she has like so much more room to grow even more.
Yeah, and like these people are going into bigger projects.
Yeah,
and like when I interviewing them, for me, it's like, once a person sort of gets in that creative mindset or something that like they keep thinking or the opportunity, the door's open, right?
Yeah.
And like sort of that's what sort of led me to do like the podcast stuff. I just want to learn about how people are thinking, and I just wanted to straight up help.
Yeah.
So this was supposed to be how you're saying like a bridge. It was supposed to be a bridge over like, say somebody sees you guys on my podcast. Somebody that really vibes with you guys might be like, or some marketing, some guy that could print banners or whatever you guys would need, right? He could be like, hey, I like these guys. I'm going to hit them up and see what I can do to help.
Yeah.
And like I interviewed media guys that do movie production. If somebody likes their work, it's a platform for them to be like get more opportunities for jobs. And sort of that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be like a bridge.
Yeah, because I think that's the next step right there. Because right now you brought a voice to all these people who are doing this work, and the next step is going to be to connect all of us, and whether it be through this summit or whether it be through like a mailing list or so, like that could be the next iteration. Like, hey, here's the Spotlight Sings or Spotlight Colors I had this month, and then people
that's a good idea. That's a
right?
good
Like,
idea.
I think that would be really cool because you're going to have access to all these communities now. And bring them together.
And again, it's about building a larger network.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I'm networking. I met you two today, right? And you guys are connected to so many people that I know. We were talking about it. We were saying we ended up meeting like the
see
seeing like knowing the same people, but like it's just more than that. Like I was saying, like you can connect me with somebody that you might know. I can connect you with somebody that like you might not know. Like it's all of that whole networking thing. Like I was saying, and that's like a big thing to me. Like, our community needs to help each other straight up. That's what I think. Like nobody else, we're not going to go up to other people and ask for help. Why not like find it within ourselves first in our own community?
And like we talked about, like there's a redefinition happening right now. Like the culture is shifting a little bit, and you can see it on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram. People are getting more engaged in creating content, interviewing, fashion, design, all this stuff. As people are getting more creative, I think they're going to want to have outlets and connect with other people. Because so many of the people, like even our friends, right, there's like just bootstrapping themselves.
Exactly.
Not like, okay, I'm going to collab with this person. I'm going to use that person's resources. So I think that's the beauty of having this podcast and having this like bridge the gaps, like you said.
Yeah.
It allowed people to speed up a lot quicker. So.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, that's the vision for it.
Yeah.
But
you're on the right track, man. It's all about stepping your foot across the line. Once you do that, you can't go back.
True. Because like I even know I don't know if you guys had this with your guys' foundation. Like I started doubting myself. I was like, dude, I had 2 episodes out. I was like, dude,
and people talk a lot of shit too.
Dude, and like sadly, like straight, it comes most from our own community too.
Oh yeah.
But like I was just like, dude, who cares? I'm just trying to figure this out.
That's the biggest thing. You said like, oh, you didn't want to put your voice out there, but I think the people who are your friends and stuff, they're going to support you no matter what. And then people who are talking are just going to be talking behind your back.
Exactly.
Anyways. So I think as long as you're doing good work, you're good to people, then doesn't really matter what people
that's
say.
exactly what
Everybody's
it is.
gonna have contrasting views.
Yeah.
I mean, your view is not gonna be exactly like
Exactly.
his view or his view, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's all about following your
Exactly.
own dream, right? At the end of the day, you're not following anyone
Exactly.
else's story. You're writing
Yeah.
your own story.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Yep.
I have nothing else. That was it for me. You have anything? Anything?
Football always had something.
Stay tuned.
Just stay tuned.
So we got Young Kings basketball tournament August 10th and 11th. April will probably collab with you as well for more projects soon. In December. So also one cool project I really wanted to do is this project in December. I really want to go to Children's Hospital during Christmas time. We didn't have the luxury of doing that because we went to Punjab this December. But going to Children's Hospital and like having their like wish list or like Secret Santa list, right? So kind of delivering gifts to those kids. That's one project I really want to work on. So stay tuned for future projects this year. We're hopefully looking to expand on a lot of different ideas. So
one thing I would say, just start a Facebook group or start something where people could access each other. And you could be like the conduit of having those conversations. But I know you just interview like Ball Bros and all these people in different. I think they're here. They were at the tournament. I think they're like some of them are like 18, 19.
They're all younger than me.
Okay,
all of them are younger than me.
First of all, I know they're all ripped too.
Yeah.
And
they're all working out.
They're playing against like 25, 30-year-olds and they were lighting them up a little bit. Yeah. And so I think that's an example of when we talk about like Young Kings. That's why we were so excited to watch them play. Yeah. And you see they have a huge platform.
Look at the
now.
movement they have.
Yeah.
They're making merch. Like people are like they're asking them, they're making their own challenges. They post their diets and people are like, dude, help us. We're looking up to you guys.
When they first started, I saw a lot of criticism, like people with comments, say stupid stuff, but now they're just on it. They take care of their own dreams.
Super down to earth guys.
And they're hungry.
You
can see it.
Dude.
You can see it.
And
Ball Bros, if you guys are watching, big shout out.
Those guys are cool.
See you at the tournament.
What like advice would you guys give to kids in our position that don't know how to speak up exactly or don't know how to get started? What do you guys say?
Honestly, I was in that position legit 3 months ago. So honestly, it's just taking the first. That's all it takes. Honestly, it's also your sangat. Honestly, I was surrounded by people that were like, if you don't do it, we're gonna cut. They were they're forced. I mean, that's not also that's not like a good thing. There wasn't in a bad way.
They have so much belief. In you.
Exactly. Yeah. And first I was doubting myself. I was like, they're just saying that because they're my friends, But they started backing it up and they're like, dude. Honestly, even if it's a fail, so what? A fail is you getting 10 views and legit those 10 views are going to be us and who else is going to see it and they realize it's a fail. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And
that's your safety net too.
Exactly. And they're regardless, it's a passion. If you're not getting big off of it, who cares? Do it yourself.
Still having fun.
Exactly. And that's what it was, just taking the first step.
I think people have this fear of failure and fear of criticism too.
I mean, I still have it, but at the end of the day, I don't know. For me, it was just taking the first step, and once I got into it, I went full I ended up buying the equipment. I was once I had the equipment, I was like, shit, I'm done. I was I have the equipment, I might just return it. That's what happened to me first. And then when I released the first episode, I was like, okay, let's get in it.
Once you get a couple people responding, and all you need is one or two people to believe
exactly.
in it. Then it starts to grow. Like you said. G Sidhu and Sunny Malta, it's coming up.
I also think just sharing your ideas. Yeah, that's the first step. If I just have an idea in my head, even if it's your parents, just I forgot what the saying is but once you speak it into existence, once you actually verbally say it, it's sort of it becomes real.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't become your idea that you execute, if you say it out loud and someone says, you know what, I like that and I want to do this with it. And then that's how we grow. That's how we keep getting bigger and building, I think.
Yeah. One of the biggest obstacles, I just said, how do you guys tune out the criticism? How do we tune out that criticism, and how do we stop that idea of Loki?
He's going in. He's the host.
He took over the mic.
That's good. He's the host today.
I think that's the biggest problem in our Punjabi community is Loki Karange, right? So how do we fight that obstacle?
I think that's our community. I asked the same thing to my parents in the interview that I did with them, and they were like, dude, at the end of the day, it doesn't. That's what our community is. We care about what, like we were saying, we only have our community sometimes, and we relate to these people the most. So when they actually have an opinion, it matters to us. Yeah, I know. To me, if somebody says, "Oh, that wasn't correct of you to say," I got a complaint straight up. Somebody was like, "You cussed too much in this episode," and I was like, and it was an uncle. He emailed me. He emailed the page, and he was like, "Oh, my daughters watch this. I can't have you. You can't be cussing."
That's kind of wild that it's reaching that much.
And I was like, I just stared at it, and I was just like, "Damn."
Yeah.
And I wasn't mad. I was like, "Dude, thank you. Like, I need to hear it from somebody. Like, but it mattered." So I felt so bad. I was like, "Dude, this guy is saying like." He's like, I love what you say, but I'm not letting my daughters watch this because you're cussing. I'm like, damn, like, is it really that? Like, I mean, that's an example of where like things like I was like, dude, this is coming from my community, so it does matter to me. Yeah. It's like I want them to care what they think, but like blocking it off, I guess, is knowing when it's coming from like a sort of, I don't want to say jealous, but like more of like a looking down on you type perspective. Like there's two types. Yeah, exactly. There's like two types: constructive criticism versus, I guess, regular.
I think the scary thing in our community, you can't really be transparent on here. No. Like you can't get on here and tell me about all your college stories and stuff because someone's listening, someone's watching, and it goes to all these other circles. So I think that's the struggle: is how do you be authentic without having to be transparent? Because you cannot be transparent, especially. You know, for women in our community, they can't get on here and tell you all these stories because people talk and people talk shit. People are stupid.
Everyone knows somebody.
And I think it's a little bit easier for us as men in the community, but even then, like, it'll go to some other circle and get shared with someone. Yeah. So it's like we're talking about things in generalities and vague. We're trying to touch on the underlying issues at the same time. So I think that's the hardest thing. The criticism that comes from it, I think, like you said, if you have Sangat, then... Yeah. Whoever your 10, 15 people are in your family, they support you no matter what. Then you don't worry about the other people. Exactly. Right? Because you don't really need more than that. Yeah, so I think that's how I navigate it.
Yeah. So, Brother Paul, anything else? I hope, like, I mean, we can wrap it up, but I really hope that you guys, like, got to learn more about Young Kings Foundation. I really appreciate you guys being on. It was, honestly, like, this episode was more than just Young Kings Foundation, honestly. Like, we touched on a lot of important things. Hopefully, we can build more episodes upon it. Yeah. We can, like, try to figure something out. But other than that, I hope, like, the viewers got to realize what you guys do. Hopefully, there's more support for you guys. I personally love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Other than that, that's about it from us. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thank you.